Well, what's up, Mission? My name is Mike Hickerson. I'm honored to be the lead pastor of Mission Church. If you're hanging in the lobby, welcome. Honored that Mission is part of your weekend and the plans. It's been Single Awareness Month, and this weekend was Single Awareness Day, so I hope all of our singles are hanging in there. It's going to be all right. Now, we exist as a church to help people find and follow Jesus. That's what we're going after. I love our church and what God's doing in and through the people that make up our church. It's been cool to watch how He's transformed lives and to know that there's no perfect people. Like, if you're walking in expecting perfection from anyone in the lobby or anyone you're sitting next to or anyone on the stage, it's maybe helpful to realize that you're going to be really disappointed because there are no perfect people. But what there are here are people that God has rescued and that we have a really good God, that He sent His perfect Son, Jesus, into the mess of humanity for the worst of us and the worst in us so that we could be made right with Him. And that means that there's hope for every single one of us. Not because of our effort or striving, but because God came down to rescue us. And that hope, that propels us to live transformed lives because God's power lives in us, not just to be rescued, but to be changed. And there's hope for every single one of us. That change is possible, and anyone is welcome here along the way. And I know it's not always the easiest place to walk into a church, or maybe you had religion stuff down your throat when you were a kid, or your knuckles hit quite a bit at religious school of some kind. And so this is a really safe place, full of really great people that God is transforming. And so it's okay to be on the journey. I know we're not all on the same page of what we believe about God or Jesus or the Bible, but we believe that God would, if He is who He says He is, and He'll do everything that He promised to do, and that means that there's hope for us to be changed. And one of the things that we've been in this series called Love, Dates, and Heartbreaks, because we think that maybe God would have something to say around this area of our lives. And so I remember maybe my first and biggest heartbreak. And so I just want to go back to fourth grade me and Miss Monty's class in Owasso, Oklahoma. And, back in the day, we were doing Valentine's, and you were making for everybody in your class. And you had the special Garfield one with that special piece of heart candy that, you got to just send for allegedly people did this. You did that. But Amanda Drescher, curse you, Amanda Drescher. She got me the biggest Hershey Kiss for Valentine's of all time. Now, did you walk into CVS and you saw that big wrapped Hershey Kiss thing, you know what I'm talking about? But to fourth grade me, that felt like a mountain of love is what that was. That was a mountain of love that she offered me. She got everyone else Valentine's. On Valentine's, I got a mountain of a Hershey Kiss. And so fourth grade me, you know what fourth grade me is? She got me the Hershey Kiss. She wants a kiss on Valentine's Day. Fellas, who's with me on that? Am I right? All right. Okay. Thank you. So I did what any fourth grader does. I didn't talk to her all day because I was scared. And then worked up the courage to call her that night with my mom watching. So she has a picture of this. And I grabbed the phone off the wall and took as far as the cord would let me go. And sorry, kids, back in the day, there was phone. Ask your parents. It's fine. Ask your parents. But I'm dialing it. And I said, is Amanda there? And I talked to her and I said, will you go out with me? She said no. You don't get a mountain-sized Hershey Kiss for a boy that you don't want to go out with. Fellas, who's with me? Okay, now we can all just get, okay. That was my heartbreak. It has nothing to do with the message at all. I just wanted to get that out every Valentine's Day. It's cathartic for me. No, we're all dealing with love, dates and heartbreaks in all different ways. Sometimes this area of our life can be the biggest joy. Sometimes it can be the biggest pain of our life. Sometimes it can be the biggest pain in the neck of our life as we're navigating what it means to navigate love, dates, and heartbreaks. And so we've been walking through a couple things that we think God may want to share with us and have in this area of our life and maybe get this area of our life right. The first one that we walked through was the right person myth. And the right person myth means if I find the right person, everything will be all right. And all the married people are like, yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. But when we say it out loud, it's going to start to sound funny. Like, if I find the right person, all I need to do is find the right person. Because once I find the right person, it won't matter how I dated. It won't matter any of my hurts or habits or hang-ups. It won't matter any of my emotional patterns. It won't matter how I treat other people. It won't matter, around pleasure. It won't matter around finances. It won't matter around anything else, because that right person, once I meet them, it'll be all right. There'll be this light, like say anything, I'll hold up the thing, and it'll just be this light that gets across the room. We'll make eye contact, and it'll be a light from heaven, and we'll just know That's the right person, and whoever I've been before will all go away because the right person will make it all right. And then what happens? It's not all right with that right person. So you know what? I must have missed it. They aren't the right person. I need the next right person, and the next right person will make all of that all right. That's the myth we want when it deconstructed to say, like, we would never say that out loud. We would never do that, but that's how some of us are approaching romantic relationships or friendships or marriages or anything like that. Second, last week we talked through the fine print, and that was the print that will make you fine. What Jody walked us through is not just 1 Corinthians 13 in a way that you hear at weddings or your wedding, or you have it stenciled on the wall, like live, laugh, and love and all that stuff that you got on the wall. But it's this idea of like there was a message in that we were supposed to be becoming those kind of people and what love looks like, not just a pretty thing, and poetry thing that we read. And what it means for our character and in the character of the people that we're in relationship with. Third area that we were talking through, that's what we'll walk through today, is true love, and then next week we'll walk through the groundhog date. So I thought we would do something different this weekend, and I would just, like what I would love to do is just take a flyover. I'm going to make a couple of assumptions. I'm going to assume that we're friends. If you don't like me, I'm so sorry. Just go with me here for a little bit, and this may be a bad assumption, but if I'm going to assume that we were friends, and if we were hanging out for lunch or breakfast or coffee or a beverage of your choice that you would want to have when we were hanging out, and we're just hanging out, and you're in the category of single, or if you're in the category of dating seriously, or if you're in the category of engaged or married, I just would like, if we were really good friends and we were hanging out, these are some of the conversations that I would want to be having with you. I thought I would have it with our whole church together so that we could all just listen in. And it's not because I'm a relational expert. I'm a relational failure. I've had so much practice at failed and messing up that I've seen it happen so many times, but I've also watched relationships. I help navigate premarital stuff with lots of engaged couples. I've done a ton of weddings. I really enjoy that season of life and that process. I've helped loved ones bury loved ones. And I've watched breakups. I've watched, all the way from being a student pastor where puppy love is real to the puppy, and that freshman girl really, it's very real in that moment. Like I understand all that stuff. I'm not great at it, but I think through God's wisdom and through God's spirit and the way that he moves and has designed us for relationship, there's some ways that we can talk about it that are helpful. And so I'm going to fly over. I could drop down in any single one of these topics or any single one of these conversations and have Bible verse after Bible verse or story about Jesus. You know I love the Bible. You know I love Jesus. You know I'm under the authority of who he is. I'm saying I'm going to fly over some of these things because I'm going to act like we're really good friends and you know that about me. And I'm going to walk through some things that may be helpful in those different seasons. Cool? Cool. So if you were navigating singleness, we were buddies or we're friends and we're just having a conversation and I would just want to talk to you. I'd be like, dude, why are you thinking that you want to date? Because singleness is not a less than life. I don't know where it is that we've been told or you've been told, and you're my friend, so I just need you to know, I'm not a better follower of Jesus because I'm married than you are because you're single. That doesn't make sense. That's not anywhere. You are a complete person. You are a much-loved son or daughter. You don't need anyone else to fill the gaps for you. You're complete. Singleness is not a less than life. In fact, biblically, it would be a high honor life. And I would probably ask you, so I know you're navigating singleness and trying to figure all this out. I know it's complicated, so tell me about your dating past, because there's been one common denominator of your failed relational past. It's you. It's not them. And it's me. It's not them. And so, what is your dating? Have you been a serial dater? Have you been a sport dater? Have you been a Play-Doh dater where you just turn into whoever they would want you to be and you just form yourself, or you let them form you into whoever you want them to be? And that's been your dating past. And you may need to navigate what it means to be whole singly first before you ever even navigate that kind of stuff, because we want to put the relationship weight on something that you don't have the character weight to handle yet, and your relationship weight's not meant to handle the character weight. You're supposed to be able to handle the character weight with God's help transforming you from the inside out. So why do you want to date? And the answer can't be, I can't be alone, it's Friday. Well, there may be something to work through there. Well, he asked, and he's not ugly, so I'll do it. That's not a good reason to date. That's not why we're dating. Second, I would also kind of just start navigating, like, how is your character? Like, what's God doing in you? Like, how's he transforming your heart? Are you becoming more of the right person that the person you're looking for is looking for? Are you becoming? Like, because I'm worried that none of us are fantasizing about, man, if I could just become the right person, then that'll be an awesome life. Most of us navigating singleness are going, if I can just find the right person. And we've been saying from the beginning, becoming the right person is way more important than finding the right person. Because you can spend all your time finding the right person, but not be the right person when you get there, and that person's not looking for you. We want to become the right person that the right person you're looking for is looking for. And you don't need to have anybody because God has got all you need. He's transformed you and you're a much loved son or daughter. But if you want somebody, that's a desire of your heart. That's not a bad desire of your heart, but have a desire to become somebody like that before you find somebody like that. We're friends. So this is what I would say to you. And now are you maturing? And like, is it evident that God is transforming you? Like the fruit of your life. Like his love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and gentleness and self-control. Is God producing that stuff in you now? Are you maturing in that? You're not perfect. I'm not expecting any of us to be perfect. You know I'm not perfect. But we are maturing and letting God produce the good stuff in us. Are you doing that? And then I would say, how is their character? Are they becoming the right person? Is God like producing love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control? Is it like evident? Is it just flowing from who they are? Because we don't want to date anybody that's not going after that. Can you see that? Are they maturing? Are they going after that? That if you were navigating singleness and you're just going to jump back into the complicated water of the dating world and try to figure all that out, and my last thing I would say is that dating is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, run. Like if there's drama and fights at the beginning, sayonara, get out as quick as you can. If you got to call the cops, don't run from the cops. Run from the thing. It's supposed to be fun because the more weight and the more complicated and the more things that you put on a relationship, it doesn't make it easier. It's supposed to be fun at the beginning as you're in connection. If it's not fun, run. It ain't worth it. Married people? Okay, thank you. All right. That's if you're navigating singleness and we're friends. All right, now if you were in a serious relationship and we're friends and we're hanging out and we're just talking, catching up on life and all the stuff that God's doing or all the stuff that we're, sports or whatever we would talk about because we're friends. And you're like, okay, I'm getting pretty serious. I'm like, all right, well, this is what I would start navigating towards. Is God at the center? You're serious, but is God at the center of it? Because God is at the center, but the best relationships that I know have God at the center because life is hard and relationships are complicated as is with two people that have God at the center. But when we don't have God at the center and going after the same things, it makes relational worlds really, really difficult. So I'll be going, that's great. Is God at the center of your life, of their life, of your relationship? And I would be like, is faith even a part of the conversation? Because I know you, we're friends, and I know that you're non-perfect. You're trying to build your life on the anchor of faith and the identity of who you are in Jesus, and that's the most important thing about you, and you are not perfect, and I'm not perfect. But man, when that's the core foundation of your life, and it's not even a part of the conversation of the serious relationship that you're in, I'm just telling you, you're setting your future relationship up for some trouble and for some friction because it's not been a part of your serious relationship now. Doesn't mean they can't be fixed. It doesn't mean that something's drastically wrong and you need to run away. It just means let's get God at the center and let's make faith part of the conversation because it's the filter that we're going to navigate all kinds of relational decisions. So let's make it at the center. Third, again, we're friends, so I'd be like, is your identity still in Jesus, in Christ? Because there's this weird thing that happens sometimes that our identity gets sucked into who we're with. Like I'm somebody because I'm with somebody. No, you're not. You are a much-loved son or daughter without anybody. So is your identity still anchored in that? It's okay to be with people. It's okay for that to be a desire of your heart. It's okay to have a serious relationship. That's great. That's awesome. But like, it's not okay for it to take the place of what God is supposed to be in your life as the single most important part of your life and who he says that you are. Your job doesn't get to do that. Your relationship doesn't get to do that. Your friendships don't get to do that. The shiny things you own don't get to do that. The scale doesn't get to do that. The mirror doesn't get to do that. The vacation trips don't get to do that. No one gets to define you. No thing gets to define you other than your identity being locked on that I'm a much-loved son or daughter of Jesus, and that is the most important thing about me. Because you're in a serious relationship, you got to fight to bring that person to the table every day. And it's not easy. Fourth area I would just kind of navigate, is there any cracks that could become canyons under pressure? Any cracks in the relationship? Any cracks in the character? Any cracks in your character? Like, for instance, have you got lost together yet? And it was your fault. Doesn't get easier, that crack, over time and pressure. Have you ever redecorated together? It doesn't get easier. The crack of the relationship over time can become a canyon when there's more pressure put onto it. Have you ever moved? Have you ever organized anything? How about the crack of finances or commitments that you're supposed to keep? And then let's keep up in the pressure of kids and hospital and funerals and future family. The cracks of that serious relationship become canyons over time and pressure because it does not get less complicated over time. It gets more complicated and more pressure filled. More fun. It's a blast. I love being married to Jody, but man, any cracks that were there at the beginning would become canyon now if we did not address them and go after the most surrendered versions of us to be able to be in that. So if you're in a serious relationship, it's not that you need to run because that stuff's there. You just need to be able to address it and go, if we don't fix this, if we don't allow God into this, then something's going to be wrong that's going to separate us down the road. That's if we were friends. Fourth or other area that I would go to is if you are engaged or married. And I do a lot of premarital counseling. I've helped also couples that are navigating complexity and some friction in their marriage. And again, have helped couples bury their loved spouse for a long time. So I'm not, again, a relational expert. These are just the windows of conversation that always come around when engaged couples are navigating stuff and when married couples are navigating stuff. So this is not original to me. Not a genius at any of this. It's just conversations that I like to spoke. So if we were hanging out, and we're hanging out as a couple, or hanging out as an engaged couple, or a long-term married couple, or a married couple is having some friction in a couple areas, and maybe it's me and Jody, or maybe it's just me, this is where we would start as friends. I would say the marriage definition, and this is all, there's notes that are in the app, by the way, if you can't write or take pictures fast enough. All the message notes are in the app, so this may be helpful. But my definition of marriage starts with this, is two imperfect people. And that takes a lot of pressure off. Because even on the wedding day, I know she cleans up good. I know you got him in a suit. That's amazing. He got all these other idiots in a suit as well. That's amazing. It's amazing. But you all are not perfect. There's no Jerry Maguire moment. You complete me. You had me at hello. You know, that's stupid. That doesn't exist. You are two imperfect people. You are massively flawed individuals. There's not married people problems. There's messed up single people problems that get married. So it's helpful to walk in to go, like, she can't fix me. He can't fix me. That's not their job. I am an imperfect person. I'm a rescued, transformed by God, much loved son of God, but I am an imperfect person. You can be perfectly imperfect for each other. That's fine. But you are two imperfect people that are entering into a committed relationship. Not like if I feel like it relationship. Not when it's based on feelings relationship. It's a committed relationship. It's like love is a byproduct of commitment. That's why you can see the couple that's been married for 60 years and they just have this way that their love has grown to a place that my infantile love cannot get to, because the love that they have is a byproduct over years of commitment compounded over time. It's like compound interest. Love is that byproduct of commitment. Even when the feelings, like, you know, all the stuff and the flutters and the butterflies and all that stuff, and it's still part of a healthy relationship, but that's not based on what the relationship is based on, because that long-term love is based on like commitment to each other. And my heart belongs to another. My eyes belong to another. And my life belongs to another. I'm committed to you. The goal of my life is to help you thrive physically, relationally, emotionally, and spiritually. I'm committed to that. Two imperfect people entering a committed relationship, diligently pursuing intimacy. And some of them are like, yes, finally we can talk about intimacy. I was ready for that. So that's my favorite part. No. Physical is a part of it. I'm saying emotional, relational, spiritual intimacy. People don't just fall out of love, they drift out of it because they didn't do the things that they were committed to at the beginning, to stay committed to diligently pursue each other, to win each other over, to surprise each other, to date each other, to put the other first, to defer to. Like, we have to diligently pursue that. It doesn't just happen magically because we had a party and a promise and put rings on. We have to diligently pursue it. And then lastly, it's under the loving rule of God. I've found when two imperfect people have God at the center of their personal life and they both are walking towards the direction of that, they want to be the best possible people that God has made them to be from the inside out. It puts them closer together because it's like the two imperfect people here, God at the center, the trajectory of their life is heading towards who he's created them to be. It automatically makes them closer. Two imperfect people entering into a committed relationship, diligently pursuing intimacy under the loving rule of God. That's what I would say is a challenge for you. That's what I would say as an engaged couple, or maybe as a married couple that needs to walk back through a couple things where we've learned the patterns and habits of how to make each other mad over decades. I get that. We've got to get back to this part. I would start by saying a couple areas that help that is communication and trust is the foundation. Never lie to each other. Let each other be the safest possible place. Let each other know the ins and outs and dreams and fears of each other. This is your safe place. My job is to wake up every day and say, okay, if you're a married person, my job is to wake up every day and say, how do I leverage my life so that the other person can thrive? How do I give the best of me so that they can thrive emotionally, relationally, spiritually, and physically? My job is to leverage myself to do that. And if two people are leveraging themselves to do that and trying to outserve each other, it makes for a really great relationship. Spoken from somebody who gets this wrong all the time. Second area, I would say personality. The way that you are made is God-given and not messed up, even though they think that the other person thinks that you are. Introverted, extroverted, planned, spontaneous, rules, no rules, thinking, feeling, all of it. It's not messed up. It is God-given. And I just want to tell you, if you're trying to fix the other person, if you're engaged or married and you're still trying to fix the other person because you don't like their personality, it ain't changing. It is God-given. It will mature. It'll be surrendered. Hopefully there'll be the fruits of the spirit of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control that God is producing in us. But the personality is not bad and it is not changing. It's God-given. So figure out the Myers-Briggs, figure out your DISC, figure out the Strength Finder, do the spiritual gifts assessment, dive into Enneagram, all of it. It's helpful to know that personality can be surrendered, but it's not changing. If we were friends, this is what I'd be navigating. And then I'd say, you have a family of origin. Did you know that you think your family is somewhat normal? And they think their family is somewhat normal? And you both families do really weird things that aren't normal, and then you bring them together. Like, well, of course we would read the Christmas story on Christmas Eve and open one present, and then the next day we can only open one present on Christmas Eve, and then on Christmas Day we can open all the presents, but we don't open them all at the time. You'd go one by one, and everyone has to say the certain thing. And you're like, why would you ever do that? Let's just get to the food, open them up, let's just go. Or or how you parent. So that family of origin, how your families fight, how you saw conflict handled, how you saw money handled, all of it you bring into the relationship. We all carry family relational baggage into our future family. Baggage doesn't always mean to be bad. It doesn't always mean it's good. Like, we carry the way that our family handled everything into the way our family handled everything, and most of those families didn't handle things the same way. So it matters. It impacts the relationship. If you're friends, I would tell you that. If I would also navigate, because I'm a pastor, this is coming, faith, it's the bedrock of a healthy relationship. It's the filter that everything goes down through. You've heard me talk to what I would say to singles and series as well. It's where we want to anchor our life. It's the most important part about us. Who we know God to be and who we know him, what he says about us. When I talk about finances, because we let pieces of paper with dead presidents' pictures on them be like a massive obstacle to our relationships. And that's stupid. It's because we don't talk about it. We don't have a plan for it. We don't know what to do with it. So we got to make sure that one of us is the CFO. One of you gets to be the CFO. You probably know who it is already. You've been functioning in that capacity. But your job is to call a budget meeting so that everybody can get on the same page. And the person that's there, like the other person that doesn't care anything about money because they're a spender and you're a saver and all that kind of stuff because God does that together. Like you have to show up to the budget meeting because we're in this together to be on the same page. And CFO person, you have to make them change something about your perfect budget. I know, you're going to hate that, but it's part of like, you got to come together on this and you just got to start realizing because as a couple, as a married couple, as an engaged couple, God is going to let you steward lots of monies that are going to come through your hands and through your bank accounts, and what you do with it really matters about where your heart is. So it's a big deal what you guys do with money. It really is a massive deal, and it breaks relationships apart when we don't get on the same page. So please, please, please fight to get on the same page. If you don't know where to start, FPU. If you don't know where to start, simple plan, 80%, live on less than you make. It's really hard to go broke when you live on less than you make. Figure out how to start saving 10% because it rains a lot. Life happens, so save 10% and then learn how to be generous and start giving 10%. That's a great frame to start financial conversations around because it's really hard to grow broke when you live on less than you make and you have a savings account. Welcome. Another area, conflict. Let me just say, healthy conflict is good and right. If your relationship, if you're engaged or married and you're not fighting, somebody's lying. And we already said we wouldn't lie to each other. So because you're two imperfect people, you're going to mess up, you're going to figure it out, you're going to make it wrong. It's all right. But we got to learn how to fight right. I would make you have rules to how you fought. It wouldn't be important, like because if you break the rule, even if you're right and you break the rules of how you fight, then you're wrong and you have stuff to own. And when you have stuff to own, you can't be so prideful about being right because you have stuff to own. You're going to want to listen to that later. So that'll make a lot of sense. And what I'm learning is that conflict, when it comes to relational conflict and you're engaged, you're married, I would say, man, don't put it in between you and the other person, that we're not going to be right until we get this thing figured out. Think of it as a way of coming on the same side of an issue that you both have to figure out because we're fighting for each other about this issue because we are staying together, we are connected, but we're not putting this thing in between us that we can't be right till this thing's good. We're putting it on the table so that we can be right and tackle this together. That's a completely different way to go about it. And then I would say intimacy. And I'll leave that there. But make this an amazing part of your married life. It's a great gift. Diligently pursue it. Then if you made me wrap up in one verse like this sermon would wrap up in one verse, I would say this. This is what Jesus says, "A new command I give you. Love one another." Amen. Why is that new? Jesus is like, no, this is, I'm telling you, all the law, all the prophets, all that stuff, I'm giving you something new to do. Love one another. And then he goes, as I have loved you, meaning selfless, sacrificial, others first, lift up, put on a pedestal, leverage myself for the best. That's exactly what Jesus did for us. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. Single, serious, engaged, married. By this, everyone will know that you're my disciples if you love one another. And there is hope for you in all of these areas. And my dream would be that people would look at you and the way that you live your life and the way that you live your relational life and the way that you live your married life or serious dating life, and they go, man, there's something different about the way that they love people. And I think it's because they're following Jesus. And Jesus is going, that's exactly how it is. Why don't you pray with me? God, you are good and great and kind. And you know this part of our heart is so sensitive because it's the easiest wounded and maybe the most wounded. So God, thanks for being kind to us through this journey. God, if there's anything that I've said that's not from you, God, would you just help it just be erased from the memory banks of whoever heard it? But God, if there's stuff that's from you that we need to hear, would you let it anchor into our hearts and not let it go so that we can be transformed into who you're calling us to? God, we love you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.